Mount Everest, the tallest peak in the world. Famous for stunning views and tough climbs, but it's also full of hidden dangers. But lurking within its icy slopes are terrifying dangers, chilling mysteries, and eerie legends that transform this mountain from not just the highest to one of the most feared places on Earth. In this video, we're exploring the 15 most spine-tingling and eerie secrets of Mount Everest that are sure to give you goosebumps. Are you ready to uncover these mysteries? Before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure like this. Let's get started. 15. The Mountain of Trash. You might think Everest, standing so tall and majestic, would be one of the most pristine places on Earth. But in reality, it's becoming a high-altitude garbage dump. Over decades, climbers have left behind tons of trash. Discarded gear, empty oxygen bottles, even human waste. It's a stark contrast to the untouched beauty we imagine. Despite organized cleanup efforts, the mountain continues to accumulate waste every climbing season. It's a haunting reminder that even the remotest corners of our planet are not safe from human impact. And up here, in the thin air, trash doesn't decompose. It stays, frozen in time, much like the mountain's other grim secrets. "14. The Haunted Summit. Reaching the top of Everest is a moment of triumph for climbers, but many who have stood there report an overwhelming sense of sadness, as if the spirits of those who perished are still present, lingering at the highest point on Earth. Some say they hear voices on the wind, while others feel an unexplainable chill, as if they're not alone. The summit may be a place of victory, but it's also a place of loss, a sacred ground for the souls who never made it back. 13. The Inexplicable Murmurs. Many climbers have reported hearing strange murmurs or whispers while on Everest, particularly at night when the wind dies down and the mountain falls into an eerie silence. These sounds, described as low, unintelligible voices, have been called the mountain's breath by the Sherpas. They believe it's a warning, a sign that Everest is alive and aware of those who climb its slopes. Are they the voices of lost souls, or just tricks played by the wind? Either way, they are enough to send chills down any climber's spine. 12. The Everest Traffic Jam. Traffic jams at the top of the world might sound absurd, but on Everest, they are a deadly reality. The recent surge in climbers has led to dangerous bottlenecks in the most treacherous sections of the mountain. In 2019, more than 300 climbers were stuck in a traffic jam on the narrow ridge to the summit, waiting for hours in freezing temperatures and thin air. For some, the delay turned fatal as their oxygen supplies depleted and exhaustion set in. On Everest, even a moment's hesitation can be the difference between life and death. 11. The Plague of Microplastics. It's not just trash that mars Everest's slopes. Recent studies have discovered microplastics even at the summit. These tiny particles, brought by the wind or left by climbers, are a reminder that nowhere on Earth is untouched by human pollution. The presence of microplastics on Everest is a shocking indicator of how far-reaching our impact on the environment is. It shows that even the most remote, pristine places on Earth aren't safe from our waste. Everest might be the roof of the world, but it's also a stark reflection of what we've done to our planet. 10. The Mysterious Shadows. Everest isn't just a graveyard, it's also a place of mystery. Numerous climbers have described glimpses of shadowy figures moving along the mountain, always just out of clear sight. Some describe them as dark, humanoid shapes, gliding effortlessly over the snow. Are they the spirits of lost climbers, or something else entirely? Many Sherpas believe these shadows are mountain spirits, watching over the sacred peaks. Others say they are simply hallucinations caused by the lack of oxygen. But whatever they are, those who have seen them swear they felt the presence of something beyond our understanding. Nine, the Everest Lottery. Climbing Everest is not only a challenge of endurance and skill, it's also a gamble. The weather on the mountain is notoriously unpredictable and can change in an instant. In 1996, 8 climbers lost their lives when a sudden storm struck, trapping them in the open with no chance of escape. Even with advanced weather forecasting, climbers are still at the mercy of the elements. A clear day can quickly turn into a deadly storm, and those who are caught off guard might not make it back. On Everest, every step is a roll of the dice, and nature holds all the cards. Eight, the cursed crowds. As more climbers flock to Everest each year, the risks multiply. Many believe the mountain does not welcome this influx of adventurers, that it's cursed by the spirits of those who've died trying to conquer it. The local Sherpas have long held that Everest is home to powerful spirits that must be respected. They say those who climb with arrogance or disregard for the mountain's dangers are more likely to meet a tragic end. Whether you believe in curses or not, the evidence is clear. Everest has a way of humbling even the bravest souls. Seven, the silent killer. High-altitude sickness. Climbing Everest is like running a marathon in thin air. As climbers ascend, the oxygen levels drop, and the body struggles to adapt. For some, the adjustment never comes, and they fall victim to high-altitude sickness. Conditions such as high-altitude pulmonary edema and cerebral edema can occur suddenly, leading to fluid buildup in the lungs or brain. The symptoms are subtle at first: headaches, dizziness, nausea, but they can quickly become life-threatening. Even the most experienced climbers are not immune to this silent killer, which claims lives every year. Six, the mysterious disappearance of Mallory and Irvine. In 1924, George Mallory and Andrew Irvine set out to become the first people to conquer Everest. They were last seen just 800 feet from the summit before disappearing into the clouds, never to be seen alive again. Mallory's body was found 75 years later, perfectly preserved by the ice, but the camera that might have held the secret of whether they reached the summit was missing. To this day, Irvine's body and the camera remain lost somewhere on the mountain, and the mystery of their fate continues to haunt Everest. Five, the ghost of the summit. Mount Everest is not just a towering peak, it's a vast repository of legends, ghost stories, and mystical tales. Among the most chilling is that of Maurice Wilson, an eccentric British soldier who, in 1934, attempted to climb Everest alone to prove the power of prayer and fasting. His body was found the next year by a British expedition, still clutching his ice axe. But what makes his story haunting is the numerous reports from climbers who claim to have seen a lone figure dressed in 1930s attire at high altitudes. They described feeling a sudden, eerie presence, as if Wilson's spirit still roams the slopes, forever seeking the summit he never reached in life. This ghostly figure is a reminder that on Everest, the line between the living and the dead is thin and fragile. Four, over 200 bodies remain on Everest, frozen and preserved by the cold, acting as grim reminders of those who dared to conquer the peak but never returned. In a place where rescue is nearly impossible, many bodies are left where they fall. Some have become landmarks, like Green Boots, a climber who perished in 1996 and now serves as a haunting waypoint on the North Route. For over 2 decades, he has been lying in a cave, a silent witness to the mountain's unforgiving nature. Here on Everest, even death is eternal. Three, the avalanche of 2015. In 2015, a devastating earthquake struck Nepal, triggering an avalanche on Everest that swept through the base camp, killing 22 people and injuring numerous others. It was the deadliest day in the mountain's history, a brutal reminder of nature's power and unpredictability. It was like the mountain just exploded. One moment, everything was calm. The next, a wall of ice and snow was crashing down. There was no time to think, just run and pray that you wouldn't be buried. The avalanche of 2015 was a stark reminder that Everest is not just a challenge of endurance and strength, but a place where life and death hang in the balance with every step. Two, the deadly Khumbu icefall. Imagine walking on a ground that's constantly moving, cracking, and shifting beneath your feet. Welcome to the Khumbu icefall, one of the most treacherous parts of the Everest climb. This massive ice river moves up to 3 feet every day, creating a deadly maze of crevasses and ice blocks. Crevasses can open in the blink of an eye, swallowing climbers whole. And if the shifting ice isn't enough to scare you, consider this. The icefall is also known for its massive, unpredictable avalanches. In 2014, an avalanche here claimed the lives of 16 Sherpas, marking one of the deadliest days on Everest. This place is truly the mountain's most formidable gatekeeper. And finally, number 1, the zone of death. At around 26,000 feet, climbers enter what is ominously known as the death zone. Here, the oxygen levels drop to just a third of what they are at sea level. The human body cannot survive here for long. It starts to shut down, cell by cell. Every step becomes a battle against suffocation, as if the mountain itself is tightening its grip around your throat. In the death zone, the mind begins to play tricks. Hallucinations of warmth, light, and even loved ones lure climbers into deadly complacency. Others experience terrifying visions of falling into the abyss. Up here, reality is distorted, and every decision can mean the difference between life and death. It's called the death zone for a reason. This is where the mountain claims the most lives. Mount Everest is a place of unmatched beauty and unrelenting danger. It's a mountain that commands respect, and those who dare to climb it must confront not just its physical challenges, but its psychological ones as well. Everest is not just a test of endurance, it's a journey into the heart of darkness. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the terrifying secrets of Mount Everest, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are so many more thrilling adventures and mysteries to explore, and we wouldn't want you to miss a single one. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and remember, some mountains are better left unconquered.